It's so nice to see you, Tamsen.
Oh, it's so good to
Thank
see
you.
you.
Thank you for this. I'm going to get us started. I have lots of questions for you.
I can't wait. Let
Yay.
me put
Emmy
this.
Award winning. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Emmy Award winning journalist, advocate, author, and now author of the March 2025, correct me if I'm wrong, release How to Menopause, Take Charge of Your Health, Reclaim Your Life, and Feel Even Better Than Before, and producer and executive producer of a groundbreaking menopause documentary film, The M Factor, Shredding the Silence on Menopause, to be aired on PBS October 17th. Tamsen Fadal, welcome back to the Alloy
Oh,
platform. I
it's so
always
good to
love
see
seeing
you.
you. So it's always my pleasure. Um, Tamsen, your work as a journalist has always required a certain level of objectivity, but this project, your film, The M Factor, and book, How to Menopause, is deeply personal. I can only imagine. Were there any challenges in being both, I guess, storyteller and subject in some way?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, so with the documentary, I'm not the subject.
Right.
We interview leading voices and top experts in this space. And so that was, that's what I love to do. Like, I love to give people platforms and figure out what we don't know and try to figure out the answers to what we need to know. So I couldn't be more excited. Like the filmmakers that I'm working with, Joanne Lamarca, Denise Pines, Kobe Atlas, are just they're brilliant and they're journalists. And so that got me really excited about this project. So that's been amazing to see it take off and see women all around the world holding screenings in their community and just having that conversation. The book, as you know, is a long process as well. So that was more personal because I did talk a lot about relationships and talk about my own personal experiences and talk about, what menopause did to me, both just mentally and in the workplace and in physically. And so that was more personal, but I did a lot of interviews in that too. So I got to enjoy that part. I always enjoy, when you're working on a book, you're like, I have to tell a personal story. And I always go, oh, I don't have any. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's how you think. Right.
Yeah.
And, but getting to tell other women's story, that's what I really enjoy.
Well, to that, Tamsin, every day, as we know, more women are entering into perimenopause,
Yeah.
menopause. And I think, those of us in this conversation every day can sort of lose sight of the fact that there are people who haven't heard about anything
Yeah.
to date.
Yeah.
So, actually, would you share a little of your story now for those who don't know?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I've been a journalist for 30 years, working in local news all around the country, and it was now almost 5 years ago, which is crazy, that I had an incident in the studio, and I wound up landing on the bathroom floor, not knowing what was wrong with me. I'd not been feeling great for like the last year and a half or so. I went to a couple of different doctors who had said, like, maybe it's stress, maybe it's a stress of your divorce, maybe it's a stress of work. I had gotten divorced, taken on a new job. Like, I used to be the morning anchor, then I went to work evenings. I'd been doing that for a while. When I was in my like mid to late 40s. And this was November, so I guess I was 48 in 2019. I guess I was 48. And I wound up on the floor of the bathroom after having a really intense hot flash, my heart racing out of control and feeling like I didn't know whether I was going to be able to get through the next block of news. And it recovered like, 15, 20 minutes. I was like, okay, I don't know what that was, but that was awful.
Yeah.
And I had been having all these symptoms. I, finally learned we're perimenopause going into menopause, of brain fog, of feeling awful, not feeling like myself, gaining weight. And I wound up going doctor to doctor, and finally I got a note in my patient portal a few months later that said, in menopause, any questions? And it was a few months later because I didn't know I was dealing with menopause, so my OB was not the first person that I went to figure out what was happening with me. And I was like, in menopause? I'm 49. I had my birthday. I was like, I'm too young for menopause,
Yeah.
which, as we know, haha, is
Right.
basically I'm like the average perfect age for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I started going down this rabbit hole of like, what am I supposed to do? How did I get this? Like, what am I supposed to do? And I never had a mom to talk to about it. I lost my mom when she was young, and I was just turned 20 to breast cancer. And so this wasn't a conversation we had in our house, and I thought I was unique. And come to find out, I am anything but. You know,
Right.
this is the reoccurring story over and over and over that you and I hear every single day with women, of not knowing what's going on and not understanding it, and feeling like you're in the middle of this, you know, chaos without realizing it's your hormones. And so that's where I got to hear and started doing interviews and talking to people. And then I was like, how have we not talked about this? I partnered with Joanne Lamarca, and we said we should, you know, do something on this for TV or for YouTube or something.
Right.
And we wound up going out like at the end of the pandemic with, you know, asking people, you know, they're all in masks, and we're
Yeah.
like, do you know what menopause is? And they're like this, what?
What?
Or this girl, what is wrong with these
Yes,
women?
I
And
remember
so
some of those.
yeah. So we did that, and but really realized that there was a real problem. Like, people either didn't know what it was, or thought they sailed right through it, or didn't realize that those were the symptoms of it. And so we understood there needed to be that voice in the room of objectivity, and of, you know, of giving a platform to the doctors that have been trying to talk about it for a long time, or don't know how to talk about it.
Right.
And you know, you and I know that there are a lot of doctors that did not get a lot of education on menopause in medical school and residency, and we're hoping to try to change that, you know, with the film for women, with continuing medical education. You know, the film has been accredited for that for doctors. So I'm feeling optimistic when I see these conversations. And you know, we're not there yet. We have a lot of confusion. There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of, you know, declarative statements about things that I don't think we can make declarative statements about yet. You know, we have a lot of work to do when it comes to research to helping these women. And you know, we try to get the top leading voices, and there's so many more, you know, that I wish we could have included in the film to help get this word out.
Next film. You
Next
can
film.
include, yeah, you can include those others. You made me
Next film.
think just sort of about the place that your film will hold in this conversation, and I'm sure that it's going to touch on everything from the, you know, sort of the science of estrogen to legislation, women's health, aging, gender, race. What do you hope? I guess I want inviting you to say a bit more about what you hope the film will achieve
Yeah.
in terms of changing the way people think about and talk about menopause.
Well, I hope it's doing what I see it doing right now as people are talking about it. That's
Mhm.
really encouraging to me. We have close to 100 screenings right now going on around the country. We have people in countries all over the world reaching out asking. You know, Australia. This morning I saw in the inbox Australia, South Africa, New Zealand.
Wow, amazing.
Yeah, so it's really been stunning. You know, the UK, Canada, it's just all over. So that's exciting to me. And then I think what I really want people to know is, you know, we need more
Mhm.
research done. There's no question about that. But I feel like I want to arm them with some different areas so they can understand what's going on with them. So, you know, we have an area talking about sex so people understand, can say, you know, my
Right.
hope is that people see it and go, oh my gosh, that's exactly me. I totally get it. I need to find a provider that can help me. That's totally what's going on with my brain. I need to find a provider that can help me. Or, oh my gosh, I thought it was this, that's really that. So my goal is that people see themselves in this film and then can walk away from it with some clear questions. Not all the answers, but clear questions of what to do next.
That's terrific. Thank you for that. Um, you're you're sort of threading my questions one after the
Oh,
other. So wow, you're so well. You're such a pro. Um, so I'm thinking that your book also sort of allows you to speak to all of these women. And by the way, I'm seeing one after the other comment saying exactly what you just led to, which is
oh,
I'm
good. I'm so
hoping
glad.
that, or I'm hoping this resonates. I hope this person sees this story, themselves
Yeah,
in this piece of the story. Um, but you bring so much sort of content and awareness daily to the
thank you.
masses of us. Can you share sort of your maybe top three practical tools that women can start doing today
Yeah.
as they think about how to feel better?
Yeah. That's such a good question, because I think we miss that sometimes. Like we want to get the whole big thing solved, right? And but for me, I want to know, like, I don't know, what's this girl talking about? I want to, what can I do
Yeah.
right now?
Yeah.
And that's really what the book is for. I did the book. It's called How to Menopause, by the way. And
Mhm.
I had such a hard time with the title, because I was like, what is this book about?
Yeah.
And
How to
How
menopause,
to
take
Menopause.
charge of your health, reclaim your life, and feel even better than before.
I actually just got, well, I just got like little posters made for it. So I was like,
Fantastic.
because we're gonna bring them to some stuff. But so
There's
I'm actually sitting on my floor with like all this like stuff around me.
where you do
Um,
your best work. I know.
I know. Um, but the book for me was really important. So there were some actionables like what you're talking about. And this is what I'm doing day to day. And one of them I learned from the book, which was getting outside and getting that first bit of sunlight in the morning, whether it's sunny or it's gloomy, which today was a little bit gloomy. But,
Yeah.
that's one thing I'm doing right now. I'm getting up early and I'm doing that. And I haven't done that in a really long time. And I missed it. I missed who I was for a really long time. I was exhausted, not able to think straight, like didn't want to get out of bed, didn't want to work out, belly fat like made me feel terrible. So that's one big thing I'm doing, which is getting up in the morning and walking. I'm ignoring what my old mindset used to be, which is like, walking isn't enough exercise. Well, I think it's a
Right.
great exercise and I
Yeah.
love it, and I don't
Mhm.
care what anybody says.
Mhm.
So that's been huge for me, for like kind of my mental wellness. We talk a lot recently about lifting weights and strength training, and that's like the second area that I do to feel good. And then the third area is I've been really focused on eating, a little more, for paying attention to inflammation in my body. My
Yeah.
body's kind of felt crappy. I felt a little bit different. I have markers for Hashimoto's, so I'm very aware
Mhm.
of my body more than ever before. So I do like that integrative approach to
Yes.
things. Obviously, I'm on hormone replacement therapy too, but the integrative approach is important for me. So those lifestyle changes, because I think you can start, I know you can start those as young as you want.
Yeah.
And I wish I had known those things younger, 20 years ago, and then it wouldn't have been like such a climb.
Yes.
It wouldn't have been such a like, oh my god, I got to change all these things at once. I got to sleep better and go walking and strength train and it was, I left the doctor's office the first time with this like to-do list that was a mile long. And so I'm happy now that some of those actionables are things that I pay more attention to, and I'm putting first and foremost. And look, we don't all have the time to do all the things that we're supposed to do, and go down these lists of all these longevity practices, but I try to do a few of them and make myself at least feel a little bit better.
Thank you. Um, while you were working on your film, was there anything that surprised you or sort of changed the way you think about this life stage?
Oh gosh, let's see. What I think, what I love about this, I don't know if it was the film, like what you saw inside the film, but outside the film, I think it's been like I think it's just been like this whole partnership of women coming
Yeah.
together, this community of women. Like I've never seen so many people try to help. Like I have a patient. Yes, yes, come bring your crew in here and we'll take care of it all. We'll get the interview set up. We'll do this or that. I've never seen and then even now that the film is happening, as the markets are picking up the film one at a time, these women are like renting cinemas
I
to
know.
invite 200 women to see the film, or they're getting like performance centers, I'm
It's
like, I think
incredible.
I'm blown away. But so what it shows me looking back is I did not understand the tremendous need, even though I knew the need when I was doing this. Like we knew the need when we were doing the film, or we wouldn't have spent
Sure.
time doing it, or the money that it takes to do it. We had a lot of rejection. We had a lot of people that were like, there's no audience for that. We're not going to put that here. There's no audience for
Really?
that. We of course. So thankfully, PBS saw the reason for it and understood it. But yeah, we had a lot of rejection, and a lot of rejection of funding, a lot of rejection of all that kind of stuff. So I'm happy that to see what I'm seeing now, because I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I knew there was a need.
Yeah.
I knew that we needed this. So that's what I'm excited about.
I'm thinking as you're sharing how many women are going to gather together and watch
Yeah.
this film. I'm thinking about the sort of the physical stuff that we all deal with, but actually what that speaks to in terms of our sort of emotional truths that you must have been impacted by as well when you
Oh
got to
yeah.
speak to all of these people. And is there a particular experience you heard? And I don't want to, I know every one of them, I'm sure, was compelling and
All of them
impactful, but was there any one that kind of just, I don't know, hit you in a
stood out.
maybe more personal way?
Yeah, I think there's two. There was a one young woman that went into a menopause in her 30s, early 30s, and didn't know anything about it and didn't have any idea. And she's a comedian, and we were doing the interview, and then like she was really strong and bold and outgoing, and she's a comedian, and like making little jokes, and then all of a sudden, I asked her something, and then she
Hmm.
just lost, like everything came out. And I went, oh my gosh, can you imagine like that young age of like how you're just trying to figure out life, and then, oh, by the way, here's menopause,
Yeah.
none of your friends are going through it but you are.
Yeah.
And so that was that one, like, I remember it because I had to go to work afterwards, and it just stuck with me. I was just like, gosh, I just wish I could spend more time with her, because I was still working my job in news. And then and there's another woman that had not had sex with her husband for years and years and years, and like was trying to talk about like, I love him, I really love him, but I just don't, I'm not myself. I feel like I'm folding in on myself. And I just think that like when women can articulate things like that, like I don't even know that I could articulate what I was feeling then. I could use some surface words, but I think when I see them articulate like that and really talk about that stuff, that's where I saw myself in a lot of, not obviously not
Mhm.
younger menopause, but that's where I saw myself. And I hope that's what that brings about a lot of these conversations that we're going to see.
Absolutely, it will.
Yeah.
So we, choose some of these women, younger women in some cases, starting on this perimenopausal path. What's a piece of advice you give to them so that they might feel sort of more empowered and in control? I think so much of this is about loss of control too, and
Yeah, of
it's
course.
physiological, so it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around what's happening to your mind, to
Yes.
your
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, there's no question at all about that. I mean, look, I just think I'm hopeful, and I see it. I see it in all these generations. Right now, I think these conversations are going to help that get normalized. It's not going to be
Mhm.
normal that a woman goes through early menopause and feels like everything's fine while her friends are, are having children and stuff. Like that's not going to feel. It's hard for me to explain to a woman how to feel like okay, but I do feel like if she has some options and some conversations about it, and has somebody that listens and doesn't make her feel like something's wrong with her or she's the only
Right.
one, that she'll be able to have some strength in that, because that's what it's about. I think we all feel the way we do because we're having these conversations, and we're
Mhm.
seeing other women have these conversations, and it's coming to light, and it's coming out there where we can say the word and not feel like, oh wow, oh you're invisible. We want to have that where this is normal, and so we're not having to have these
Yeah.
kind of
Yes.
conversations
Yes.
every day and saying like, please normalize
Yeah.
it. And please let me do a film on this so I
Yeah.
can, you know what I mean, explain to these
Amazing.
women what's going on. Like the fact that somebody would say there's no audience for that is insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Insane. And half the population, and then the other half too that should know about it because they're
Yep.
with all these women.
Yep.
So
Yep.
that's,
Um,
I get very,
well, you
emotional
do,
about
and
that.
I mean, you've been at the helm of so many of these conversations for so long now, and they're bleeding out into various places,
Yeah.
in
Yeah, they are.
legislative floors and in doctors'
Yeah.
offices and in specialist offices. So you are passionate about it, and that's what's kind of helping to push the needle along. Um, I have a lot of people sort of, again, just
I know
like
I can't see
chiming in and
the
saying
question. I'm
it's
so
okay.
sorry.
It's okay.
I don't know why I can't see
I'm going to
it.
go back
Okay.
and kind of go over several of them.
Okay. Great.
Um, so menopause is often framed negatively, but certainly
Hmm.
your work and your these two projects for sure, I undoubtedly will
Thank
inspire
you.
us to focus on reframing this time as one of empowerment and all
Thank
kinds
you.
of things, which I want you to talk about. So I'm curious for you personally, what's the one unexpected or maybe long waited for sort of positive change that you've discovered for yourself during this stage?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think I had this mind shift, and I don't really know when it happened, but I feel more like, ah,
Mm.
not that anything's easier, not that anything's slower. I'm doing stuff right now that I've never done before, so it's a little scary. Like, I've never done a documentary. That's scary. I've written a book, but not to this level. 42 people being interviewed. Like, I've never done that in my life. So I feel like there's some freedom that comes with a lot of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I always think about Dr. Lisa Mosconi had this like happiness curve, where it comes back up in like the post-menopausal years. So I'm hoping I'm on
Yeah,
that part of the curve right now.
yeah.
But I feel that like, and I think it's also age too. I think it's menopause and age. I think they all kind of go together. I think for me, it's midlife, menopause, and meaning all kind of intersect right now. And I feel like, yeah, menopause is something I went through. It has shown me a real purpose in this world of talking to these women and helping create change. And then that's the meaning for me. I feel like I found my meaning, and wherever it takes me from here, I'm really good with and excited by, and can't wait. Like, I haven't gotten up in the morning excited about the day in a long time. Like, my husband goes, "You're getting up at 6. You're getting up earlier and earlier every day," and I go, "I know." I'm like so energized.
That's so awesome, and
Of
it's
course,
so
I'm falling asleep
inspiring.
like early, but
Yeah,
yeah. So it
no.
feels good.
It's so exciting, and I think for those of us who are kind of still in it,
Yeah.
it's incredibly hopeful that
Oh
there,
yeah.
first of all, there's science kind of like
Yes.
supporting this
Yeah.
upswing, but
Yeah.
also that there's this opportunity, and suddenly you're kind of stepping into something that has become your purpose.
Yeah. And I used to say like, I don't know, before I think it was like 5 or 6, well, maybe now I'm so off with my years. Maybe like when I was 45, I'd be like, now what?
Yeah.
What does this
Yeah.
mean when you don't work a day in your life? You don't work, when you don't feel work. What? Like, I
Right.
never understood any of that. And I was
Right.
like, I feel like I'm working every day.
Yes. Your
But
self
I,
appreciation changes.
yeah,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So I do feel that difference for sure. And I do wish that I always give that advice to my younger self. I do wish my younger self, I'd be like,
Yeah.
like, you've got this. But I
Yeah.
think my dad was probably saying that to me for a long time. And I'm like, you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know the stresses I'm under. And now I kind of like understand where he's coming from.
I
So
love
yeah.
that. I love
Yeah.
that.
Not that it does, not the world doesn't come out with, come up with, there's a lot of things that happen. Every day is not sunshine. And, there's
Yeah.
a lot of things that we go through that are life altering.
Yeah.
And, but I think understanding, who you are and what you want to leave behind, and who you want to be for other people that love you and that you love is really important.
Tamsin, and you share that menopause doesn't affect just women. It impacts families and relationships.
Yeah.
We see a fair amount of sort of banter and fun and love and support between
Yeah.
you and your husband.
Yeah.
But I wonder what's one way partners and loved ones can better support women in perimenopause and menopause.
Yeah. I mean, I got married at 50,
Hmm.
so I was like right in there with menopause. The poor guy. I was dating and I was super cool in my mid 40s, and then
I'm not gonna
so
lie,
poor
Tamsin.
him.
Whenever you have shared that, I'm like, wow. Just knowing how tough this time can be. Ever impressed with you? It's not
That
easy.
sucked for him. But yeah, I do think that there is something to it to be able to feel like you've got somebody. Look, your partner's not going to be able to fix all the problems. There's no question. But for them to just know what you're dealing with, so you have somebody kind of watching out for you. If this person is in your life, or somebody at work, or a
Mhm.
best friend.
Mhm.
I talked to two women the other day, and they said we're going to tell each other when we're if we notice any perimenopausal symptoms with each other. So, they have to keep an
That's
eye out for
awesome.
different things. And I was
Yes.
like, that's really a great
Yes.
idea. Like,
Yeah.
that makes total sense. And so I think that I think that's where I see a partner of any type, whether it's work or it's home or it's career or it's friendship. But I think it's important for a partner to know, because I know there's a lot of fear that goes along with, like, oh my gosh, my partner's not going to think that I want to be with them anymore, and they're going to leave and they're going to be, upset. And I think that, if somebody is doing that, then they've got the problem. But if you're able to communicate that with somebody, and so they understand what you're going through, and that yes, your libido, you might not be what it was when you were 35 years old, and yes, sex might not be comfortable, and you're trying to sort out some solutions for that, and yes, I just don't feel like myself some days. If you've got somebody that has had your back and wants to continue to have your back, they're going to have it through this too.
Yeah, thank you. That's so terrific. I'm just looking quickly through some questions and comments. There's lots of questions on or comments on how beautiful you are and how you
Oh
always
gosh,
look
thank you.
good. Someone asks, it's true. Someone asks, can you address how access to enlightened doctors are limited to
Yeah,
those with the privilege of top rate insurance and more
yeah,
expensive doctors? That's a
yeah, absolutely.
loaded question, but important to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a difficult one, and it's one that we're trying to, it's
Yeah,
what we talk about. We don't
yes,
want to just give people information and education all the time, because what are you going to do with it if you can't get help,
sure.
right? It's great if you've got this information, but if you can't access somebody to help you, and I'm hopeful, and I think it's a longer road, and I don't know that I have all the answers to it, but I'm hopeful that because this community is coming together, where we're seeing legislators and we're seeing a lot of bipartisan on this
Mhm.
issue, and we're seeing telehealth companies
Yeah,
come forward with with help, that we're going to be able to get there sooner than where we are today, because it's it's not okay that you have to go to five different doctors, be
right.
expected to go to five different doctors to get some help. And if you don't have insurance, and if you don't, and forget about it, even if you have insurance, that's not what we should be doing as women, to be taken
Yeah.
care of. And so I'm hopeful that we get to that place, because we're going to dump more research dollars into this, and because maybe there's going to be easier access, so that people can have it across the board, and we're not just saying, hey, if you're lucky enough to have the perfect doctor, you're going to get some
Right,
help.
right. And thank you for mentioning sort of telehealth platforms like Alloys, which is I just quick sidebar. I was one of those women sort of with no access and no health insurance at the time who received help from Alloy, and the price point was good for me, and there is help there.
Yeah.
So don't give up. I Someone asked, what age did you start hormone replacement?
Um, that's a good question. I feel like it was like a year and a half afterwards. So maybe like mid 50s, I think mid 50s.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a little bit after I was diagnosed with, not diagnosed, but like told I was in menopause, and realized it wasn't, like 25 other things. And then I um wasn't sure if I wanted to do hormone therapy, and I
Yeah.
didn't have all the information that I needed, and now that I do, I started hormone therapy, and it made a huge difference for me. Not everyone can do
Yep.
it, and not everybody wants to do it, and
Yep.
so I think that's where the integrative part comes in for
Mhm.
me, because there has to be a more than a one solution for everybody, and I think that's important for me to always note.
Yeah, and I do love that you always bring up sort of all of the other silos that matter, because they always matter
Thank you.
anyway, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
exercise,
they do.
nutrition, water, all of those
Yeah,
things
they do
matter
matter.
anyway.
They do matter.
You mentioned a few minutes ago about sort of what you might leave behind. And I'm thinking about your book and your film, and that you're sort of really contributing to this cultural shift.
Thank you.
What legacy do you hope that these projects will leave behind?
Oh gosh, I hope it leaves behind like generations of women who are not where we are right now having this conversation.
Yeah.
I hope that it leaves behind women that are like, oh yeah, I already know that, I got that part, and we're good. Thank you very much. I mean, I hope that's what it leaves behind. I hope that they get to focus on something else, and I hope that whatever else they're fighting for, is whatever raises us up to that next level. But for us to be in 2024 and having to say like, hey, we still don't really know, we don't have any research, and we don't, we have research, but a lot of it was like, we're not sure, and what is it, I think that and and marketplaces, that I think there's a lot going on there that confuses women, and I think I really want to be I want to, I don't know if it's all going to get straightened out, but I'd like to get it a little
Yeah.
orderly before I leave this earth.
Yeah.
And that's what I think.
Well, you are. There are a host of more comments about how incredible and talented and gorgeous you
Oh,
are, and I wish
what
that
else?
I
I
could.
can't see
I
anything. I'm
know,
so
I'm so
sorry.
sorry, and I wish
I don't know
I
why.
could share them all, but
You're
I
very
will
sweet.
say
Thank you.
that is what's happening there.
Thank,
Uh,
thank you.
Tamsen, just remind us one more time where we can see the film and when the book
Yeah,
comes out.
absolutely. So the film is PBS and PBS.org, and that is and PBS in all different markets. So if you want to, just go to your PBS site and put in your zip code, find zip code depending on where you are, you can see it. We are letting people host screenings, so if you're interested in that, you can find out all that information. Probably the easiest way is Instagram, the mfactorfilm.com, and then you can just sign it. It doesn't cost anything to host the screenings, but just promise us you're not going to upload it to YouTube.
Right.
That's
Right.
all the paperwork is essentially.
Yes.
And then the book is howtomenopause.com, and we have like $400 and all sorts of like fun bonuses and stuff to lead up to the film. So
And we can
there'll be
pre-order
workbooks and
it
all that
now.
stuff. Yeah,
Your
you can
book,
pre-order it
right?
right
I
now.
did
You can
that
pre-order
already.
it
Yeah, yeah.
now. Oh, thank you. You're so
Of
sweet.
course,
Thank
of
you so
course.
much. It's been fun. And we have a community on Facebook too, for people to join after they pre-order, so we can keep having those conversations. So we're excited about it. Like I really, we're working on a party and some different fun things that we'll make sure everybody knows about.
Tamsen, you're such a love and a joy, and it's
Thank
no
you for
wonder
this.
you're really just so you really
You're
are
so sweet.
everybody's best girlfriend. Thank you for all the work you do, and thank you for this
Thank you.
conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm sorry I couldn't see the comments. So hi everybody.
Okay, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, everyone said you're fabulous. That's that.
It's very sweet. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. So
Okay.
good to see you.
Talk to you soon. All
Bye,
right. I'll see
bye,
you soon.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.